such an aggressive image. You really get a good look on how intimidating this figure of darkness is. You can see this rebel clinging on to dear life with his hands. You sort of have this dirty oil here and this sort of beautiful princess here. It's a very interesting contrasting going on. Okay, welcome to Shot by Shot, where I analyse every shot of an entire movie. We are now in Scene 4 of the original Star Wars, and the Empire has just overtaken the Tarsus 4 ship. So we have this close-up of R2 showing that, it's okay from the explosion from the previous scene. And notice the stark change of the color palette from the previous scene. Before we were in this this stark white corridor, and now we're in this very dark area with this red light, showing that we're in a different area, hence the scene change. And then we have this arm come out and start plugging this card into R2. Very strange. And yeah, it's quite interesting here with the contrast of between the warm color of the human arm connecting with the sort of cold blue droid, really sort of showcasing those sci-fi themes. And instead of cutting to reveal who this human is, we cut to 3PO, which preserves this mystery of the human's identity. And we sort of have this interesting new bit of set reveal, the sort of darker jet black area of the ship. Again, the art designers just love this use of contrast in the visuals.
D2, where are you?
So they've sort of split amongst the action. This shows that 3PO would rather be with R2 and sort of signifies that they have a stronger relationship. And now we sort of know the name of the droid, R2D2 of the blue one. And then we sort of see 3PO sort of frantically looking around, like, this droid really cares about R2D2. And you can see in the background as well, while all this is happening, we sort of have rebels running in the background with sort of quiet laser sounds in the background. So the battle is still going on, but we are in a safer space. And then we sort of hear R2D2's beeping, which makes 3PO aware of its position to the right. And now we can assume this is what 3PO is seeing because he sort of looked, and now we cut to this shot. And the human is revealed to be a woman in a white dress. This must be the princess, as she dresses much more formally than the other rebels, who are in helmet gear and all that. And we sort of got this long shot to sort of maintain the mystique of this character. You got this beautiful fog. This sort of enhances the magic of seeing the princess for the first time. And she sort of turns around here, showing she's worried about the battle. And again, she presses R2 again. This and the sort of card insertion makes you wonder, what is she doing with this robot? And you got this close-up of 3PO reinforcing that, it's witnessing what the princess is doing, and sort of notice how 3PO doesn't go after R2 right away. Like the audience, he's perplexed at this princess. And we get this closer medium shot and can confirm it is Princess Leia. We can see this fancy curled hair and this silver belt. Now, Carrie Fisher does this great bit here where she suddenly turns to 3PO, like she was caught off guard but not shocked. And then, she does this great pose here, showing her royalty with this sort of gentle curve in her arms and sort of laying her hand very loosely here. And then with a serious expression, Leia quickly turns away. She's in a rush. And either doesn't have time or doesn't want to talk to 3PO. So you got this very great sort of demonstration of the character with these sort of free movements here. And here we have 3PO again, just staring there like the audience. It's perplexed. The sequence creates another interesting mystery to ponder about, like what did the princess do with R2? It also creates some mystique about Leia herself and her special relationship with R2, that it can be trusted with this card thing. Here we have R2 sticking out its third leg, very novel, adds a bit of quirkiness to the character. So R2 sort of comes back to 3PO, sort of showing that they do have a relationship. And it didn't just sort of happen to be together in a previous scene. They're sort of coming back together. And yeah, this line sort of shows 3PO's impatience. He doesn't necessarily care what the princess was doing with R2. And they've sort of been split for a while. Shows that R2 likes to sort of go on his own without 3PO's permission. It's a bit of a rebel itself. And sort of you got this sort of dynamic, like a parent losing their child and telling their kid off when they're found. 3PO's just sort of looking down at R2 like a parental figure here, sort of like this. And yeah, you just have R2 zooming past, not even looking at 3PO. It isn't joining in on 3PO's roaring. It's not taking any of that.
They're heading in this direction.
So that line sort of shows that there's still danger. Like the two droids have to do something, and yeah. 3PO even sort of points towards the corridor like that to sort of visually emphasize this. Now, I love this camera angle here with R2 turning its head. It's got this sort of side head turn, sort of angsty look, like, I'm listening. Even with these just little movements and just where the camera is placed, you really show a lot of character.
What are we going to do?
And yeah, with that line where you can see 3PO starting to panic. There's a lot of pressure. The Empire's taking over.
We'll be sent to the spice mines of Kessel, smashed into who knows what.
Yeah, I mean, that line there is very interesting because,
Spice mines of Kessel.
it's all said very quickly with manic movements. It shows 3PO sort of starting to have a panic attack. Now, it's interesting how he mentions these spice mines in Kessel. It's like it's another drop of world building. Spice mines in this place called Kessel, and like, what's so bad about it? Like, I guess slave work in mines wouldn't be very fun. So we've got sort of stakes if they lose. And it's a common thing in sci-fi fandoms, and especially Star Wars, is that fans love little bits and pieces of lore like this. It's one of the reasons why Tolkien's work is so beloved. It really makes it feel like a living and breathing world. Another possibility is being smashed to death. So, that's another possible outcome of this conflict, heightening the danger. Which is interesting that 3PO is afraid of death, as well as having all these other emotions. These droids are more than just soulless robots, and we attach to them like any other human character. Even R2 with his limited boops and head turns still shows that there's more to the droid than just ones and zeros.
Smashed into who knows what.
And then you got R2's head just sort of turning back, showing that he ain't having all that, and just sort of begins rolling off like this, calmly. And with just these little movements, in the context of 3PO panicking, a lot of character is displayed.
Wait a minute, where are you going?
So R2 seems to be off on a mission, completely turning its back to 3PO. It's probably related to the mysterious princess. And we've got Leia peering at them. She seems concerned. There must be something very important with the R2-D2 droid. And she pulls her hood off, giving us a closer look at her hair. Like the rebel helmets, we're in a very different world with different fashion. Like, you wouldn't see this, in the 20th century, this sort of hairdo. This really is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And she sort of pops out her head here, like emphasizing even further her concern. And she sort of goes behind the pipes like that, sort of emphasizing that she intends to remain stealthy. And oh dear, the rebels have surrendered. This confirms that the Empire is a relentless force. Like, it leaves you thinking, like, what's going to happen to them now? we have these two beautifully designed droids as well, further increasing the immersion. Like, there's so much effort just for like one droid that just appears for a few frames. But it's worth it to draw audiences into this world. And you got these sort of clumping boots, like in an army-like fashion. This is not a force you want to mess with. And you may notice the camera swings around as well, sort of very dynamic, and sort of holds the shot a little bit longer to make it clear that the troopers have taken over. This is their ship now. However, even though the battle is over, the pace hasn't slowed down. Here we have troopers walking quickly through this corridor, maintaining that level of excitement. Again, very intimidating look on this mask, very intimidating design with these very angry looking expression on the masks. Now, looking at this, it would be very hard to doubt that the Empire has won this battle. Like, such a striking image in the focal point of this shot. This frightening character from before is now choking one of the rebels. Not only that, he's completely surrounded by intimidating foes. You do not want to be this person right now. And it's weird. It's like he almost got this sort of snake-like leather material in his arms as well. It's weird. It's very villainous design. Oh, and look at that sharp head turn. Like, Vader's pissed. There's something weird with this guy. Yeah, just look at that. So this trooper says the Death Star plans are not on the main computer. So even though they've taken over the ship, the rebels still have this playing card with the hidden plans. They're still in the game. Now, this is quite a disturbing shot. You've got this close-up now of Vader choking the rebel. It's such an aggressive image. You really get a good look on how intimidating this figure of darkness is. You can see this rebel clinging on to dear life with his hands. And then we got this small, interesting detail on Vader where he's got this sort of chain-like necklace. This is very significant symbolism that is sort of explored later in the film and the whole original trilogy as well. This sort of idea of Vader being on this leash.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted?
Yeah, it's a very brutal way of interrogating. It shows Vader is impatient. Also sort of retains those sci-fi themes with the term transmissions as well, and those sort of military themes as well.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted?
Oh, and then we cut to this next shot, and it's just like, oh my goodness, just look at that expression. Like, when you have the top of your eye whites revealed like that, it just radiates a very intense emotion. Combined with his mouth being open wide like that and him grasping on, you really feel this pain that the rebel is going through.
What have you done with those plans?
Ooh, he's not wasting time, and he wants answers now. And yeah, we're sort of hearing Vader's voice for the first time here. It's this very deep, very intense and sinister voice by James L. Jones. Like, this is very clearly the villain right here. And you may notice the rebels sort of being slowly lifted up in this shot, increasing the intensity of this moment. And we're sort of back to the sort of almost wide shot as well. And let's see what this rebel says. So with this line, we see that rebels are willing to lie in order to protect this information. This information is very important. This guy's life is on the line right here. He's being choked. He's being choked really terribly right now, but he is not giving away that information. And yeah, we have a look here at the rebel's feet dangling. It just makes it clear that he is being completely lifted off the ground by just his neck. It shows Vader's strength. And just look at that cape. It's almost pitch black darkness. Yeah, Yeah, and then this line indicates that there is more politically going on here than just sort of rebels fighting evil. We're getting more information on the civil war that was mentioned in the opening crawl.
We're on a diplomatic mission.
Oh, and just look how desperate he is for air. Like, he's struggling a lot to say his line. He's like, ugh. And it's like even more intense look with this sort of his face. He's looking out. He's just so desperate to get out of that position. And yeah, with this line, he's desperately trying to declare his innocence. And look how high he is now. Like, something bad is going to happen. Like, with this like horrifying design and looking up like that, it's just like, you know what's going to happen to this rebel right here.
If this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador?
So Vega isn't taking any of those diversions, and rightly points out the flaw in his arguments. Like, and he's looking for this ambassador, which we could assume is Leia he's looking for. And then we get this chilling throat-cracking sound effect, showing that Vader is killing the rebel brutally. He's not messing around. And we just see this rebel full limp like that. It just makes this moment even more disturbing without going too far. Like, it shows you don't need, blood and gore flying everywhere to like make something disturbing. This is a really great example of like having very intimidating, very strong, and showing the violence of Vader without it being too much for younger audiences. And to top it all off, Vader just chucks the poor rebel away, showcasing further his brutal and mighty strength. Like, the troopers aren't even shocked. They just stand there. This is normal for them. It shows how dark this galaxy has become. And then we got this sort of close-up of Vader swinging his head around. Like, even though we can't see his facial expressions, we know this character is furious. Yeah, and this line is said with like really great intensity. Vader really wants those plans. It must be crucial. Oh, that anger. Yeah, so... Yeah, and this line here shows that the plans are so important that even this violent character needs all the information he can get. Like, he has to sort of restrain his violent impulse here. And yeah, you're keeping up this sharp pace here as the Empire heads straight off to work. Keeping this adventure, it's not going to be all sort of dull or whatever. It keeps going. And here we've got the troopers looking around slowly, sort of checking every crevice, showing that they're methodical, they're not brutes. And here we see Leia again. Like, look at the contrast in costume design between her and the troopers. You've got this very sort of sharp, jagged, harsh military look. While Leia, she's in this sort of loose gown, with this sort of beautiful hair and makeup. And we've got this brilliant pose here with the gun. It shows that she's strong and capable, unlike those sort of stereotypical fairy tale princesses. And the film continues this excellent visual design of this sort of strange pistol, the barrel's so long it goes out of the frame. And this sort of oil and grease in the background, which you would rarely see in sci-fi films of this era, and especially when combined with the image of a princess. You sort of have this dirty oil here and this sort of beautiful princess here. It's a very interesting contrasting going on. Yeah, very striking pose right there. And the troopers are coming in and they're close, creating this sort of feeling of sort of hide and seek adventure. Then the trooper turns its head, and sort of Leia goes back in, showing that, she's in danger. She's, she's very close to being caught.
There's one. Set for stun.
And yeah, Leia's been spotted. And the trooper here says set for stun to highlight that they don't intend to kill her, as per Vader's command, that they are very organized and not idiots. And then after hearing this, Leia quickly prepares to take a shot, showing that she isn't timid and that she's willing to fight. And it's quickly confirmed as well, as she takes the shot and puts down the trooper. And instead of carrying in fear, she retreats immediately, again breaking those princess stereotypes. And then we got the strong, assertive pose here by the trooper, showing that she's in their sights. Yeah, this isn't good for Leia. And then we got this strange blue ring come out the weapon. Yeah, again, that sort of sci-fi sort of mystique and weirdness. And we see it hit Leia and she falls to the ground. And it's sad to see this character defeated as well, sort of lying there. So we got these troopers dashing in. And it's sort of like, is she okay?
She'll be all right.
Okay, so this line reassures the audience that the character isn't dead or significantly hurt by this weapon. And yet, like the previous line, she's only stunned.
Inform Lord Vader we have a prisoner.
So we've got these two troopers standing over her, enforcing that she's been captured. And then with this line here, we sort of have the reveal of the dark villain's name, which is Vader. Well, I mean, Vader sounds scary enough, but he's also called Lord Vader. He must have some special place within the Empire, perhaps monarchical or religious. Again, you just have these interesting little bits of world building to increase your engagement with the story. It then cuts to our familiar droids. They're close to being captured. Like, the audience will be wondering, how will they escape this scenario?
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted.
Yeah, that's a strange thing to say. Since the ship has taken over, it shows that 3PO is a very rules-focused, law-abiding citizen sort of droid. And
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted.
we got this close-up of R2 with his back turned. Like, he doesn't care about those silly rules.
You'll be deactivated for sure.
Again, R2 persists in doing this, like showing that it's on a mission. It's not having anything get in its way. And with this line here, it warns R2 about the punishment of death. Like, these droids have an extra weakness of simply being turned off. So yeah, they're more vulnerable than the human characters. And then R2 just sort of turns back and beeps at 3PO like it's had enough of 3PO's complaining.
Don't you call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glob of grease.
So this line confirms that R2 is actually communicating in a language 3PO understands, and it's more than just beeps and boops. And it shows that there's intelligence to R2 as well. And we've got this sort of banter between the two of this line as well, sort of making the relationship more human and dynamic.
Philosopher, you overweight glob of grease. Now come on before somebody sees you.
So this line here, it shows 3PO's unwillingness to adapt. Like, the ship is taken over, and yet this droid is worrying about something that isn't really a problem. And R2 is standing its ground and has already gone in. Like, it's showing that it's assertive and it isn't pressured by 3PO's foolishness.
Secret mission? What plans? What are you talking about?
So yeah, this line here, it's revealed that Leia has given this sort of secret mission to R2. It shows that R2 is trustworthy to carry it out. It sort of adds more to its character. And yeah, that this sort of mission is also connected to the main story with the plans being mentioned. And yeah, 3PO again, just completely unaware of what's going on. Like, it's sort of a bit like the audience trying to grapple with this world.
I'm not getting in there.
So 3PO is unwilling to take any risks. You know, there's many weaknesses to this character, but it also sort of adds this sort of comedic twist as well that we'll see throughout the film. But now the droids have not only been found out, but they're getting immediately fired at. Now 3PO has to make a choice. He can either leave with R2 towards the unknown, or stay in a ship and be destroyed. This is a very key theme of the Star Wars franchise, showing these sort of two paths in life. You can either stay in the familiar and be comfortable, or you can go on this great, challenging adventure. Now, in this instance, 3PO is forced to either go on this adventure or perish, which is foreshadowing of Luke's journey later on in the film. And R2 is beeping wildly. They have to go now. And 3PO heads towards R2, saying this line. You know, showing that, you know, it's begrudgingly made its choice to go. It has to go and take this risk with R2. And we can see it's already being uncomfortable for 3PO. It's heavily bending down to get into this cramped space. You know, I think it even bumps its head a little bit there. This is sort of crossing the threshold into a new journey. And the door closes. This locks it in. There's no turning back for these two droids. And then we see the escape pod blasting out to space with this sort of striking circular shot. You know, they're riding off on their great adventure, but instead it's sort of shown in this sci-fi twist of the pod launching off. And we see the pod flies away, emphasizing that there truly is no way back. This is it. That it's, you know, they're on this adventure now. And we got a shot of the Empire, and we know it's the Empire because, you know, they're in control. You sort of got this guy with sort of tall posture here, and with all these sort of evil red and black colors.
There goes another one. Hold your...
So this line sort of combined with the turrets means that sort of other rebels have tried to escape via the pods, but were probably shot down. Shows, you know, that the Empire is really in control of the situation.
There goes another one. Hold your fire. There's no life forms. They must have short-circuited.
So this is sort of cover up a potential plot hole, sort of like, you know, why are they able to escape? But it also shows that the droids are just like escaping out the skin of their teeth. You know, really heightening those adventure themes, like, oh goodness, we just managed to get out of here.
That's funny. The damage doesn't look as bad.
And then we got this shot of the two droids in the pod spiraling away, looking at where they've been. This sort of creates a sense of this magical journey, this sort of, it's almost hypnotizing the way it sort of spins around.
The damage doesn't look as bad from out here.
So it's a little bit of a joke that even the droids are trying to sort of comprehend the enormous size of this ship.
Are you sure this thing is safe?
Yeah, so this line here also sort of highlights the danger of the journey. They've just escaped from the Empire, but there are other perils ahead. This is just the beginning for these two droids. And we got this beautiful shot of the pod flying away towards the brown planet from the opening. It really sort of teases the next stage of their adventure that will take place on this planet. So that's scene 4. Next time we're going to see the first meeting between Leia and Vader and their interesting, complex relationship with each other. But yes, feel free to subscribe because, yeah, I'm really going to go through the whole movie and analyze every single shot and every single scene. So it's going to be an interesting journey. But yeah, I hope you'll join me for the ride. And yeah, see you in scene 5.